Could this be the most efficient barndominium design that we've seen yet? The windows are definitely always going to be the most prone to have a leakage problem. I probably need to ask our clients, why the 44? But then again, you want to go back in time?
Yes.
Overall, like, this building needed to be engineered. Man, it turned out amazing, right, guys? And here's where we, on our side, we failed because we didn't place them correctly. Welcome back. This is Adbil from WolfSteel Buildings, and we're out here in South Houston area.
Yes.
Close to the Gulf, and I'm out here with Ed.
Yes.
Ed. Long day today.
What's up? Long day, but man, last one of the day, and it's a freaking beauty, man. There's not a lot of words to describe this building, but it's massive, man. It's huge.
Bro, like, just from me standing here, I'm not sure what you're seeing from your camera.
Yeah.
But it's just like a castle sitting on top of the hill, and it's just spectacular. There's a lot of things we're gonna talk about. We're gonna talk about 2-foot overhang, the windows, so many windows, how we did our trimming system, and definitely the porch, just the whole structure of this barndominium shell. Okay.
Beautiful.
Now we're out here near what, Gulf of Mexico, Gulf of America?
I believe it's Gulf of America now.
Whatever it is, in the area that we are in. So definitely a building of this caliber needs to be of a different engineering caliber, right?
Yes.
So we're gonna be talking about all that kind of stuff. And before we get to that, don't forget to like, share, and subscribe.
Yes.
And also, do we have a giveaway?
Yes, I believe we do, and you know how we love giving free stuff away, Adbil. The question is, I'm gonna be dropping the question.
Say it.
How many windows does this building have?
That's crazy, right?
Yeah, because it has a lot of windows.
A lot of natural
If you can
lighting.
guess the right number, drop it down in the comments and the questions below in the comment section, and let's see if you win.
Let's get it going. All right, let's go. Alrighty, guys, so the main topic of today is, like, at the end of the day, it's a barndominium shell, right?
Yes.
So this is a 44 wide and it's 60 long. So it's almost 2,600 square feet.
Yes.
Just a little bit more because of the 4 foot in the width. 18 foot to the eaves. And then on the
peak.
Is this a 512 pitch?
I believe it's a 412. Yes.
It's a 412 pitch. I probably need to ask our clients, why the 44, right?
Yeah.
But one thing to keep in mind when in the inside is, like, once you start doing interior framing, it's starting to take away from your interior dimensions.
Yeah.
So that's actually really important when you're doing, like, a barndominium shell or something where you're going to be living in the inside and framing the inside. Well, whether that's a barndominium shell or a man cave or whatever, the interior space is going to be really, really important. Again, this is an engineered building. But I will talk a little bit more about the engineering that's required for, barndominium shells and foundations. But the biggest thing we're going to talk about is, since this is a barndominium shell, I feel like this is a really efficient design.
Yes.
Barndominiums now are starting to become where, like, they get really complex with different valleys, connections, lean-tos, wraparounds, and they look phenomenal. But those things start to drive the cost up because of the labor involved and all those connections. When you're looking at this is, we could say, in a way, a rectangle. It's so efficient. The cost to just go up high because this is 18 foot tall, so you can definitely make it 2-story, which is what our clients are working on right now in the inside. The cost of all the space that you can get, including the airspace, might be even more cost efficient than when you take the 2 stories and then spread it out on the ground. So that is just something to really just consider, and that's why we feel like this barndominium design is pretty efficient.
Yes, very, very practical, very efficient. I mean, and plus it looks great, especially with all these windows. Whew, looks amazing.
25 windows.
I believe that's the number.
Yeah, client provided them. So one of the things with, like, barndominium shells is that at the end of the day, like, there's so many windows you might need. Like, for example, the one you're gonna need in where your sink is gonna be, it's gonna be like smaller type of window.
Yes.
Maybe around your living space.
Yeah.
You want larger windows. You want more natural lighting, right? Up top, they might be a little bit smaller. right?
Yes.
So many designs, so many colors. In those cases, we do recommend our clients to get their own windows, have them on site, maybe even their own residential doors, because residential doors, there's so many to pick from. So if you have them on site, we can put them in, you know? And it's important to have them on site because certain types of jams around them is how we need, are specific for what we need to install in our metal building.
Makes sense.
But before we keep talking about more on the windows, because I will show you guys a little bit more on the on how we trimmed it, how we finished it. Check this out. This also has a 2-foot overhang. So a lot of times you say, okay, well, a metal building is just like a rectangle and it's basic. I don't know, but this doesn't look basic.
No, man.
Wow.
It looks sharp.
2-foot overhang. We got the soffit, and that soffit is like a reverse PBR. So what that really means is the panels have a rib that sticks out, and the colors on all the ribs that are sticking out. On the soffit, we actually have a reverse PBR, which is basically the colors behind it. And that way the ribs are going inside. Look how we painted these I-beams.
Massive I-beams.
Them. Yeah, we retouched them as soon as we were installing them.
Beautiful.
So again, this is a pre-engineered metal building. So it's engineered for the winds here in this area. Because it is higher wind loads.
Yes.
What do you think, man? Look at the purlin spacings here for this area.
And we spaced these, I believe, what is that?
This is about like 24 inches to about 36 inches.
Yes.
And I know we're gonna be, look at this design here. But then again, this is like the porch area.
Yes.
And I'm gonna talk a little bit more about engineering stuff. This is the porch area. This is kind of area to hang out. 'Cause definitely you got the view of the pond.
Yes.
Now the street is in the back.
Yeah.
Okay. So there isn't a main open, or the main entrance door in the back, and you're seeing it from the B-roll.
Yes.
But here, since they have the pond, they can see the sunset. They can just relax. This is the idea of having this
front
porch section where you can have an adult beverage, James. Come check this out. When it comes down to having like 25 windows and having a lot of windows, the windows are definitely always going to be the most prone to have a leakage problem.
Yes.
Okay. If it's not being told to you by your metal builder, you know, they're just not being as transparent, right? I'm not saying they're not being truthful or transparent, whatever. But metal buildings, when you're cutting out and making a cutout to put your window, that's going to be one of the most important locations. So a couple things that we do here. So right now we have a special trim that we call a drip trim. And that trim has where the water that gets caught up here comes up front. So it has a little slope here to kind of like a gutter.
A gutter system, yeah.
A little gutter system, and then it drains, out this way. That way the water is going here and not coming around the cut of the panel.
Makes sense. And these are double pane windows, right?
These are double pane windows.
Beautiful. Insulated as well.
Insulated. And I'm about to talk a little bit more about that. So right here, the cuts, all this needs to be sealed with like a clear silicone. And that's what we have here. Because at this point right here, it's going to be the point of weakness where any water can come in.
Yes.
And another important thing, and it's impossible to do it in especially 25 windows.
Yeah.
So depending the locations and stuff, so we can move it maybe about 6 inches in or out to try to stay away from a rib.
Makes sense.
If this is close to a rib here, then that's what's gonna maybe push the water back in and then create some maybe water issues, or it's hard to put our silicone right along here if this is too close to a rib.
Makes sense.
Does that make sense? And then on top of that, double pane windows have a drainage system here where all this water can drain out.
Drain out. Wow.
So that's the beauty of windows in general that are double pane compared to a single pane or triple pane. But this is a residential. You definitely have to have a double pane minimum to meet even energy codes. So
makes sense.
But then again, you want to go back in time?
Yes. Actually, I do want to go back in time because I want to see, maybe our viewers want to see what this building was turning out to be when you first came here. I believe it was about a month and a half ago, and you came out here, you checked it out. So let's go back in time for that.
And I know at the end of that back in time, that the situation about the windows is going to make a lot of sense.
Yes.
So we'll see you guys back. I'm bringing it back old school. If you've been watching for a while, my very first videos, I would do the videos myself like this. I'm actually recording by myself. I have a really nice, cool little pond here. Pretty sure we can get some catfish out of there. Maybe. Man, check this out. This is a barndominium shell that we're doing out here in close to Angleton, Texas. But this is going to be a really cool, unique design. You can see the front of this project will have kind of like a porch to oversee the pond, oversee the back. I love this type of structure when it comes down to like for barndominiums, and you can tell like the height is really really tall. You can see the windows up there, so I'm assuming they're going to be building a second story within this shell. Couple things here, okay? So this is going to be a residential project. So part of our standards here at WolfSteel is if you're going to be building a residential or a commercial type of structure, got to be engineered. And one of the things I was talking to with a client yesterday that I was hanging out with is like, we're in Texas, so not everything needs permit. And so when you don't need permits, basically you don't need licensing. You know, in Texas, to be a builder, you don't really need a license. So what does that mean? As a consumer, you have to trust your builder. That's the challenge. So what happens is that there are some barndominium shells that are being built that are not engineered, okay? Just keep that in mind. And so let's talk about engineering. For the engineering for this foundation, in this area, when we were actually doing like to get the engineering foundation, the engineer said, hey, you're in like the worst area of soil in Texas to build on. And that's because there's a lot of like what we call black gumbo, like Play-Doh. And so the foundations are constantly, the soils are constantly moving. So all residential and commercial projects for us, since they're engineered, we had to get engineering involved here. So once we did the soil test, it was like, man, the engineering came back that what we needed to do was take out 2 foot of soil that was here, pre-existing soil, 2 foot of that, take it out. And you can kind of see the black gumbo that you can kind of see around here. Let's take a look. And you can see like right here, like this type of soil is no bueno because whenever when it's wet, it will expand and contract when it gets wet and it dries out. And you can see that. Look at this type of ground. All this type of ground had to be removed and replace 2 foot with, or 4 foot of that because we had to raise the elevation. You can see how much we had to raise it, 4 foot. So it's 2 foot about natural grade. You can see here, 2 foot above natural grade, but under there, 2 foot of that, we had to take out that soil. So we replaced that with engineered select fill. Then on top of that, what we also had to do was also do bell piers, okay? So basically the foundation that you're seeing right now, the concrete slab, under there we had to do bell piers. And I'm not exactly sure because I haven't looked at the plans again, but the bell piers are going at least, I'm pretty sure, 15 foot under the footings. And then on top of that, then we had to do. So this had a lot of grading, a lot of dirt work that had to be done, which by the way, it looks really good. And then on top of that, a lot of concrete in multiple phases. So when you're doing a residential, especially for like, you know, if this is gonna be a home, it's a long-term investment. So it's more of an investment. And what you don't want is foundation problems. Because if your building is only as good as your foundation. So if your foundation is not, you know, solid and engineered, I don't know what you think about that, but I think that I would love my foundation to be engineered where, you know, you got, you know, peace of mind for the amount of money that's being spent on a project like this to be protected. Let's talk about the building. Again, this is 44 wide, 60 foot long, and then we got 18 foot to the eaves. This section here is going to be like the porch overseeing the pond. And one of the things I love about, because this is definitely a bolt up. So what we did here, you can see we already painted the frame. One of the things I love about the bolt up is that they're all pre-engineered, and we're out here in an area where, you know, the wind requirements here are about in the 120s to 130s, pretty close to Gulf of Mexico, Gulf of America. So overall, like, this building needed to be engineered. Plus, not only is it residential, but we had to engineer it for that wind load. And you can see all the cable bracings that had to be added, and we're still not done. And one of the beauties that I love about red iron, you know, bolt up compared to like tubular buildings is that tubular buildings by default are, most of them that you buy just like, you know, normal, quick and let's go, are typically going to be made for category 1, which is just for like storage, more like workshop use. For red iron bolt ups, they're always typically going to be custom made specifically for you. In this case, that's what we did here. This whole frame was custom engineered and designed. We put the cable bracing wherever you don't have any windows, all the frames you can, and I'm gonna walk in the inside. Everything is custom made for you. And that's the beauty of a red iron bolt up. Obviously, the materials are a lot more sturdier when it comes to the frame. Here, I mean, it's gonna be different based on your engineering. So like in this case, on the end walls, we actually have I-beams as well. Again, the higher wind loads. And the purlins, if I'm not mistaken, these are 8-inch or 10-inch purlins on the walls. Very, very reinforced for, I mean, for a red iron bolt, especially for the wind loads that we have. So we could also do an engineered weld up, and it's definitely possible. But for us, anything greater than a 40 wide, we already do a bolt up required. Now, do keep in mind here, what we're doing here, we're gonna be doing a soffit all the way around. But this is gonna be spectacular because you got the overhang, and you can see that that's what we're working on. Man, let's go in the inside. Nice concrete work, by the way, by Manuel. Big shout out to him here in the Houston area. If you are an existing client, you worked with Manuel, you know, he is very special with his work. So overall, you can see that our client already has some plumbing rough-ins. So that's something that we definitely had to work around when we're installing. So when you're doing a red iron bolt up, the way we anchor down a building is usually going to be by setting anchor bolts. You can see here, setting anchor bolts when we pour the concrete. Okay, so that's extremely important, and it's extremely important that it's on point because this I-beam already has its holes. Okay, there it is. It already has its holes for that way the anchor bolt that's already preset. And so when we come here, they have to set like a Lego set. Okay, that's something really, really important. So sometimes when clients want to do their own concrete, I just always remind them, hey, your bolts have to be on point, or we're gonna have to get the engineer involved to approve a different method of setting up the anchor bolts that we need. And that different method could usually involve with drilling a hole and using epoxy, and it's just like, it can be a challenge, but it's still doable. That's if you decide to do your own concrete. But for the most part, we like to do, our own concrete. So overall, good thing that our client had their windows, their doors, everything here before we even arrived and started to set up this building, because that's going to be really important. If you are going to provide your own doors, windows, it's important that we have them so we can install them correctly. I know one door here is missing. So that's been the talk of today. It's like, hey, this is missing right now. So that is something that we're planning around so we can install it and shim it, correctly. Now, being very honest with you guys, again, construction there's always something that could go wrong, because there's a lot of different things going on, a lot of different moves, from windows to just anybody that you know in construction. If you talk to them, there's so many moving parts, but obviously we want to make sure that everything turns out great. Okay, so here, what happened here is that the trims from our supplier came wrong for the top trim, and so the only challenge that I have with this challenge is that right here, you can see that they fall on a rib. And here's where on our side, we failed because we didn't place them correctly. So right now what we're gonna do is we're gonna take off all these panels. We're gonna take off the whole panels, and then we're gonna redo them more, because again, we wanna do it right. We wanna do it right the first time. So we're just gonna take it all off. The trim is actually really good. We're just going to take off the top trim to put a different type of trim. But then again, everything else is really, really good. Big shout out to our team here. They're doing a phenomenal job. I think here's where we failed on our side with a little bit communication with the material side. But that's the whole point of relying on a builder, because there's so many little details that are really important that make a metal building experience the best. And they're very, very little details that sometimes, only through experience that So even like this one here, although we have this concrete has a nice little slight slope, we still did this nice, where we're setting the beam on top, and therefore if any water is just kind of hanging around here, it's not gonna rust the frame. So just to protect it. It's that little details is really where the quality is, and especially with our red iron projects that take a little bit longer, it's usually a different process than our tubular process. And so the red iron, from just the material having 26 gauge panels, 40-year warranty, and then on top of that, just the frames just being custom ordered and custom designed for our clients, make a red iron bolt up, just spectacular projects. You can see here, guys, man, I'm just so impressed. And so, sorry guys, that was a lot of talking, but I hope you're learning a lot, especially about the whole process and how we do things. That's just part of the process. It's part of it. And again, when you're choosing someone to work with, it's all about the values. And I think that's what I love about these guys, is that, man, when I explained to them, hey, just not gonna work specifically, there were things that they were just not not aware about. And so therefore I just said, you know what, we're just gonna take off the walls and we're gonna redo them. But we're gonna fix this little detail. It means a lot. We could still get by with it and we could just silicone and stuff, but there's a way of doing things where it doesn't fall on a rib. We got the right head trim that really redirects water away, and that's solving for the #1 problem, and it's leaking. Because that's the challenge of metal buildings in general. And anybody who's in the metal building industry knows this. If you're not in the industry, you don't know this. But that's how most industries have. They all have their little thing that is just kind of like, they don't talk about it as much. But metal building is, you got thousands of screws on a, exposed fastener system. Even one screw can create a pain for you. So something that I try to just be honest. Again, there's pros and cons to metal buildings in general. And so how do we, make the best of it is in those details.
We get it. Starting a new metal building project can feel overwhelming with concrete here, installation there, permits somewhere else. At WolfSteel, we can take that headache away. From site prep to the last screw, we bring every service under one roof here in Texas for Texans, so you can have your metal building without the stress. We handle tubular buildings, red iron weld up and bolt up buildings, permitting assistance, full concrete slabs with site prep, plus any demolition if needed. Concrete coating options, various installation options, a gutter system for your building, custom doors, windows, and even cedar accents if you want a more rustic look. You need more, like mezzanines, balconies, or masonry, we got that too. We do not service outside of our service area, nor provide material or kits only, and our services do not stand alone. We focus on full turnkey Texas metal building projects. WolfSteel is the easy choice. Texans, we've got you covered. If you fall within the service area, contact us today. If not, I hope our channel is helpful for your metal building project.
Alrighty guys, now we're back to the future. Well, back to the present, Ed. And man, it turned out amazing, right guys? So I know you saw when I was out here how spectacular the frame looked and everything, right? Mm-hmm. This is a residential home. And when we build, because we don't do the interior, we don't do the full interior build. So what we do is we do the shells, we do the foundation, but for residential homes, we require engineering.
Yes, that's correct.
So what that means is the foundation, we need to have a soil test. That soil test, we come in here, we dig into the ground, we take out a sample of the soil, and then from there the engineers determine, hey, this soil is good, this is solid, you only need to do this.
Yes.
That can be like San Antonio, Austin areas where like the grounds are very solid, okay? Here it was the opposite. Yeah. The grounds were definitely not solid, and I know I spoke about that, and that's the reason why we needed to do a lot of work to get this foundation nice and stable for their forever home. And all our metal buildings that are for residential, they have to be engineered. Here, that structure was spectacular.
Yes.
And overall, it turned out beautiful. Again, I don't think I spoke about the colors, and I want to speak about those. This is going to be white walls. Then our base trim on the bottom is white, and then all our trims, the overhang, all the downspouts, gutters, it's all burgundy. And I think when we were driving it, it's like, holy, look at that. Yeah.
And you can see it, especially from the drone shot, you're like, man, like what is this white castle sitting on a freaking just top of the hill? It's beautiful.
Yeah, and it's protected from flooding, because I know we were speaking with our clients like here. I think Hurricane Harvey really raised the elevation here. Oh, I was just having a conversation.
Really?
The elevation, so here's like, they said it's just like a really good elevation where like there should not be any concerns. Yeah, really? So that was part of the requirements from our engineering, like for making sure that it's at a high elevation.
Wow.
So this is going to be like the main entrance.
Yeah.
And they're still working on it. You can see all the containers. They're still working on the inside. Main entrance. That's why we got some large windows. Beautiful. Large windows up top for the second floors.
Gotcha.
And then here we have a main entrance.
What a
beautiful door.
Yeah. What a door.
Oh yeah, absolutely. And the biggest thing here is like, as long as they're here on site, so we can be ready to build.
Makes sense.
Because like, for example, these windows, what we need is a nail fin window, okay? But those are the type of windows, so that way the sheet metal is over it, and we have this flange that's around it that falls behind it, and that's how we can install it appropriately.
Beautiful.
Alrighty, Ed?
But man,
ready to go in the inside?
Yes, I'm ready to check it out. I know the viewers want to see it, and so we'll be putting some B-rolls, right, with some great music. They can check out the inside.
Oh yeah, absolutely, because our clients are still in the process. So at this moment, I'm gonna leave it with more B-roll so you guys can see how they're finishing the inside. We did a spectacular spray foam. The B-rolls of that, you're gonna love it. But before that, don't forget to like, share, and subscribe. Follow us on our social media channels.
Yes.
And let's go in the inside.
Let's go. Alrighty Pack, it's giveaway time. So for those who checked out our previous video, Abdul dropped a question at the beginning of the tour, which was what 3 shades of green were used for the building. It was a beautiful building out in Seguin, Texas. So the answers were Fern Green, Colony Green, and Hunter Green as well. So the deadline for the cutoff time was on Tuesday at 11:59 p.m. and we had 4 lucky participants participate and get their answers before the cutoff time. So congrats to those 4. Now, if you missed it, don't worry, we have plenty more giveaways coming up soon. But for the 4 lucky participants, now is your time. Let's spin that wheel and see who won the free WolfSteel shirt and the free WolfSteel flag. So let's spin that wheel. And the winner is, who's gonna be? Sherry Hill 6830. Congrats to Sherry Hill. You have won the free WolfSteel shirt and the free WolfSteel flag. Make sure you send us a message and we can get you taken care of, and we'll also be reaching out as well. And to everyone who participated, don't worry, we have plenty more giveaways. We really appreciate y'all participating. Stay tuned for the next giveaway and we'll see you in the next one, Pack.
What's up, Pack? Remember to stay up to date with everything that we're up to by checking out our social media. You can find us at WolfSteel Buildings for behind the scenes action. We share our latest projects, update on what the team is working on, and all the exciting progress happening in real time. Don't miss out on the action, and remember to give us a follow.